This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Falcon Theater for their presentation of Sondheim Unscripted. Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with...
My name is Peter Smith. I'm a jazz pianist. I'm also an actor, and I'm the musical director here at Improv Theater. And I've been working with them for about 3 or 4 years. In my life as a jazz pianist, I'm a musical director for Molly Ringwald. I also play for Natalie Cole. Improv Theater is really the only group that I do this sort of work with. I've kind of been thrown into it, and I just love it.
Just for my viewers who obviously haven't been here, just exactly what do you do around here?
Well, it's pretty interesting because it's completely improvised. So the question becomes, well, what do you rehearse? So what you rehearse is the concepts, the things that happen in these Sondheim shows, and how do we go about setting ourselves up to create music, spontaneously that evokes that in some way. But there's nothing said. I mean, there are no patterns or, there's just ideas about what could happen in setting up different scenarios, setting ourselves up for success, basically. Yeah.
I was really extremely impressed by the music.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a challenge, and they inspire me too. I mean, what's really fun is, sometimes the scene will be going along and I'll realize that it's building to a certain place and it really wants a song, so I'll start playing, the way it would happen in a musical. But then sometimes they get the impetus, and they just start singing, and then I have to go, okay, here we go, it's a song. I have to find what note they're doing, and I have to fill out the accompaniment, and that's really exciting for me.
When did you first start getting into music?
Well, I started as a boy. I mean, I was playing the piano at age 4.5. I think I started lessons, so played my whole life.
Yeah, actually, I asked that a lot of musicians, very talented musicians. They all say the same thing. They all say they start when they're 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's a lot of. It's a nice time to start, provided you really want to do it as a kid, and nobody's forcing you, because the simple music that you sort of need to play at the beginning is exciting, whereas for an 8 or 9-year-old, or sometimes it feels a little boring, and then some of those kids end up kind of fizzling out on their music studies, Yeah.
That's a question I asked to a lot of them also is, do you think you were born differently from everyone else?
Oh gosh, no. I don't think so. I don't know.
I mean, a lot of people can't do that,
Right.
They can't play when they're 4 years old.
No, that's true. Well, and I was taught. I just didn't, but I think people who are musical are born with certain proclivities to it, but I guess it could have developed a different way if I was exposed to other things as a youth, I'm not sure.
They say that if a child of 4 years old suddenly started doing square roots, by themselves, it would be that would be outstanding, and the parents would be very proud. Oh, he's going to be rich, he's going to be successful, he's going to be powerful. But if that same child at 4 years old started playing music, they'd say, "Oh, well, okay, great. He knows how to play music. Maybe he'll make some money on Venice Beach."
Right, exactly. No, it's tricky. I mean, if you choose that life, you're not choosing wealth. You might get lucky, but you're choosing a life where you get to do something you love, and hopefully keep the lights on at the same time.
Do you think it's unfair? Because think about it. They say that takes just as much brain power to be the math prodigy as it is to be the music prodigy. But it's kind of like, I'm a music prodigy, no one seems to respect it.
Well, I'm not sure if that's exactly true. I mean, certain I know that math and science are certainly rewarded by society, and there's a lot of different things you can do with that. I mean, with music, you can just do music unless you decide to do something else. But if you have skill in music, you can only sort of apply it to music. So maybe that's what brings out about what you're describing. Because if you have skill in math, you could be an engineer, you could be a stock analyst, you could be, there are any number of things, right?
Yeah, but basically the top 1% of all engineers, and you compare the top 1% of all musicians, I think the top 1% of all musicians make more money.
You think so? Well, I hope that's true.
So another question about composing, because everyone was composing on the fly.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of music students actually listen to my show. So any kind of advice you can give on composing?
Well, composing is really work, I find. It's inspiration, for maybe just a small percentage. And then the rest is like, okay, well, I was inspired to hear this note, so I have this note. What now? And the what now is the work. The what now is like, well, this is what I know about how music operates. Maybe you hear a little something in your head, but then you get to another spot and you get another what now? What now? And building blocks, and then saying, and then you play the whole thing through, and I'm not sure, and let me adjust this, adjust that. So composing, it's not, it's romanticized in a way where people think, you get a beam of light from the heavens and suddenly there's a piece on the music paper in front of you. And very rarely do things work that way. Sometimes something just flows out of you, But most of the time it's just a little germ of it, a little kernel. And then the rest is like, drawing on your large musical skills to sort of flesh it out and give it a shape that makes sense.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Improv Theater. I'm Brian Lohman, the Associate Artistic Director. I started improvising in high school. I had English elective that was improvisation back in the 70s, and I've kept doing it since then. I was in a group in college called Fault Line with Mike McShane and Greg Proops from Whose Line Is It Anyway, and started working with Dan O'Connor, the Artistic Director of Improv Theater, in 1986. So we've been working together since then, and co-founded Bay Area Theater Sports, and I've been working together down here together since I moved here in 1998.
Could you tell me a little bit about Sondheim Unscripted?
Well, it's a completely improvised show in the style of Stephen Sondheim, so we don't take any of his music and try to memorize it. We make up the whole show right on the spot based on one audience suggestion.
So do you have a musical background?
Yes, I was in a a cappella vocal jazz group that worked with Bobby McFerrin once at the Greek Theater back in the 70s, and I'm a composer and arranger.
How do you prepare yourself for something like this? Because you can just go in there raw, but something tells me you guys did something. You had to do some kind of rehearsal or something.
Sure. Well, we would work on singing together as a group and listening to each other, look at song form and try to start repeating things, because the tendency when you're improvising is just free associate and keep going, but we had to kind of train ourselves to reincorporate and repeat motifs, just like a composer would go back to a motif and then develop his theme and do variations on it. We had to learn to look backwards. It's been said that when you improvise, you're always looking backwards. You don't know where you're going, but you know every place you've been.
Could you tell me a little bit about the challenge of composing? Could we get a little bit of advice on how to compose?
Well, it depends on the piece that you're working from. One of the glorious things about Sondheim for us to study was that he composes as a character. So he'll sit down at the piano and he'll get in character like an actor would and write the song from that place, rather than stand outside it and think, well, what would this person say? He tries to become that person and then let those rhythms influence the rhythms that he chooses. He's also working then from the emotions of the character, and the more you can connect the emotions to the music, the more truthful it feels, and I think the more you're connecting with your audience.
So a question about improv. Why is improv so important for an actor to do?
Well, it should look to the audience like you're making it up for the first time, no matter what you're doing. If they feel like you're just reciting something, or that it's canned, or that you're not discovering anything, they tend to tune out or become distant from you. But if they feel like you're on the same journey they are, where you don't know what's going to happen next, then they start to lean forward and wonder what's going to happen, rather than just wait for it to come to them. And the way you learn that is by improvising. You learn what that feels like on stage, and then you try to bring that into your acting work.
As for the piece that I just saw, I was actually impressed by all your musical talents, everyone's musical talents, because it actually sounded like a real musical there.
Well, we Floyd Van Buskirk and Brian Jones, who are both in the show, are both musicians. Having Peter Smith, who is a phenomenal musical director, to help guide us along, but Michelle Spears, who is one of the co-directors, has directed a lot of musicals and choreographed a lot of musicals. So there's a connection with music from everybody in this company.
Yeah, because that was my main take on this. Because I was thinking about, how am I going to criticize the plot? No one's ever going to see this plot again. So it's like, why worried about that?
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. The door opens, the overture starts, and we just jump through that door and see what we're going to find on the other side.
Yeah. Again, I've asked a lot of actors, basically, because again, this is community theater. I always ask people for advice, and they always say it's almost required nowadays to take improv.
Yeah, I think there's no better way to find your confidence and your voice and be able to connect to other people, because improv is not a solo art form. If you're not working with other people, you can't do it. So, Keith Johnstone, who is kind of an improv guru, who a lot of the people in improv theater studied with, says if you want to do solo work, become a stand-up comedian. That's a great forum for that. But if you want to work with other people, then use improv as a way to connect.
All right, well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Michelle Spears. I am originally from Louisville, Kentucky. I went to New York and studied and worked there for about 8-10 years, and then I've been in LA ever since, working with improv theater.
So how'd you get into improv anyway?
Well, my official training was in New York, and it was very classical. I studied with Stella Adler, and it was all very serious and very text-based and classical-based. And it wasn't until I moved to Los Angeles that I sort of discovered improv, and a friend said, "Oh, you should come and take this class." And I thought, great, opened up my world completely, scared me to death when I first started. But since then, I've come to understand that there is a form to it, even though that it's improvisational.
Yeah. I asked a lot of actors for advice and all that, and a lot of them say you got to take an improv. It's almost required nowadays to take improv.
Well, I think it depends on the actor. But if new things or being spontaneous, and truly, actors always talk about being in the moment, and improvisation in the moment is the only place you got. So you really learn to be comfortable there, and you learn to be comfortable with sort of the unknown and incredibly reactive, which is a very important tenet of a good actor, and also to play. To sort of get out of your head and just play with what's right in front of you.
Yeah. What do you like more? You like acting or like improv?
Oh, wow, it depends. I mean, are you kidding? Who wouldn't want to play the great parts? But there's something about improv that is the sort of the actor's crack, in a way, because it is so invigorating and challenging and such a wild and wonderful ride. And I guess I find the two things equally balanced. There's when you're given a script that a writer has written, it's your job to sort of dig down and find what lives underneath that and sort of embody that lovely gift they've given you. And when you're improvising, that has to happen in a second. So it's never going to be quite as rich, but the lovely game that you're playing, the ensemble that you're playing, is in some ways by necessity so much more intense than even in the best show ensemble, because you are out there together with just each other.
I used to do sound in community theater. I did like over 100 performances. They said I was an outstanding sound person.
Yeah.
However, I always tried to get the best, perfect performance I could possibly. I could never do it. I could never do a perfect performance. Is that anything like improv?
Well, the improv is by its very nature an imperfect art form, and you know going in, it's not going to be perfect. It's being improvised. And especially with what we do, there's no way we're going to come close to a true Sondheim musical. But it's just in the aspiration, and it's just in the study, and it's just in the sort of delight of exploring how we determine that he has explored his own work. And, there's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing. And so for us to just embrace that, and actually that anything that quote unquote is a mistake becomes the next offer. It becomes the newest thing to play with. And we sort of think of ourselves as like the sand sculptures, because we build it, we do as much as we can to shape it, but then we know it's just going to go away.
A lot of people who listen to my show are community theater actors. So any kind of advice you can give them?
Oh gosh, just try everything you can, do everything you can, read everything you can, watch everything you can, just in sort of infuse yourself, right? Fill your pockets. I had a teacher that used to say, just fill your pockets with things that you never know when you're going to need it, but it's there somewhere and it's somehow by osmosis influencing you and inspiring you, hopefully. Look for inspiration.
Do you have a musical background?
I do. I was a dancer for many years, and so I did a lot of musical theater when I was in my younger career. And now I actually work as a musical theater director and choreographer.
Yeah, because I was really impressed by the musicality of everyone. It was excellent.
Oh, thank you so much. We worked hard. The musical background, there's about half of our company that has it, and half of our company that has a much more traditional straight theater background. And so the music element is new to them and challenging. And then we also have some guest artists in this run. We have about 6 guest artists who actually all have a very significant musical theater background, but maybe newer to improv, at least the way we do it. So we put all that in the mix, in this case the crock pot, which was our show's theme tonight. We put all that in the mix, and everybody sort of gains strength and knowledge and support from each other's different backgrounds, different perspectives.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. This was such a lovely surprise interview in a hallway. Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Ashton Marcus with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Ryan Smith. I'm a company member here at Impro Theater. I used to write for Mad TV for several years. What else? I've been improvising and acting for about 20 years, and living out here, about to get married in 2 months to my lovely fiance, Snow Wilson, if she's out there listening.
Okay, and so how did you get into improv anyway?
I got into improv. I was an actor and I was looking for a way to kind of shake things up. I took one improv class, thought that was going to be it, and got so hooked on it that I kept taking improv classes at my theater company in Orlando, Florida. And I just fell so in love with it that I kept moving forward to the point where I found myself on stage and doing shows week after week, and that led me out here to California where I met these folks at Impro and just kept going because it's acting without having to learn lines, and it's kind of a lot of fun.
I've asked people, actors, what do they want to do, their ideal dreams and all that. Right. Some say, I want to be a great Shakespearean actor. Others say, I want to make a lot of money, but want to be a blockbuster hit shows. I don't hear a whole lot of people saying they want to get into improv.
I don't know. Maybe that they haven't done that class like I did. I didn't know that I wanted to do improv until I did it and got kind of hooked on it. Because it is acting. It's. I used to say it this way. If you're doing a play, you're saying words that have been written, and trying to make them sound like you're saying them for the first time. Improv, we're saying words for the first time, but trying to make them sound like they're written. So it's just a reverse sort of re-engineering of a play. So we still get to act, which is for me fun. And my joke is, that I'm lazy, so I don't have to learn any lines. So it's kind of nice.
So, do you have a musical background?
I don't have a musical background. I mean, I sang in musicals and I've done that sort of stuff. I never really trained or anything. Taken voice lessons here and there, but most of us don't have that kind of in Sondheim Unscripted don't have a musical background as far as classically trained or anything, which is one of the reasons we chose Sondheim, because even though they have great singers, he would choose people that had interesting voices, like Elaine Stritch, who you don't think of as a classical voice, but he liked people who could tell stories with their voice, whether it was they were singing it perfectly or not, wasn't important to him.
Yeah, because actually this piece, I really enjoyed the music. I thought you guys were all very talented. Even yourself, I really enjoyed your singing.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I enjoyed your listening to our singing.
A lot of my listeners are actually music students or they're community theater actors. Okay. Any kind of advice you can give them to help them along with their careers?
I honestly, going back to the improv thing, I tell everybody to please just take an improv class, take a couple of them. Even, I tell people that aren't even in theater to take improv because it helped me in my life even more than it helped me on stage. But if you're looking to improve your sort of your sense on stage, because when you're doing acting, even though those lines are written, you got to look like you are, and you actually have to be listening to the other person because they're not going to say lines the same every night. And you want to be comfortable with, somebody flubs a line. You want to be comfortable just going with the flow. And please just take an improv class and come down to improv and take an improv class even, because we, again, focus on theater improv versus just the sort of games of improv. So.
Okay, how about as for being a writer? Say someone wants to be a writer for television or something like that. Right. What kind of advice can you give them to do that?
Wow, well, I came at it a really weird way, so the advice is just write. Write every day, write stuff you like writing, find out what you like writing. Do you like writing sketch? Do you like writing essays? Do you like writing, sitcoms or drama? Read books on it. Watch a lot of whatever kind of TV. If you want to get into TV writing, watch that kind of TV. Watch the kind of movies you want to write. And, you will absorb that sort of storytelling that way. Also, if you can find a class on writing, that's always good. But again, the main thing is just to write every day, even if it's just stuff you don't like. Just write it down, because sometimes you'll come back to that one sentence that you think was nothing, and that will be the thing.
So, how did you get into writing anyway?
Mine, it's a really long story, and you probably don't have enough memory in your recorder. But the shorter version is my improv. I had an improv partner at one point. We did 2-man improv shows. We got on a TV show that Dan O'Connor, the head of Impro, produced, and it was an improv competition. Long story short, we won the competition. It was a TV show. We won it. And at one of the cast parties, the producer of the show said, "Hey, do you guys have anything you're working on?" And I said, "Yes, we're working on a pilot," which we weren't. But then he said, "Well, I'd love to see that." So we went and just wrote some sketches. We kind of cobbled them together and made a sort of animated pilot out of it. And the guy liked it. We sold it, or we got an option deal through Paramount. Nothing happened with it, but we did get an agent through that. And from that agent, that's how we ended up landing ourselves some interviews with Mad TV, because we were sketch comedy guys. They needed writers. And several interviews later, we found ourselves writing in Mad TV, which was the craziest thing. But we were not expecting to be writers or anything. We just were. It just kind of happened because I said something at a party to a guy that, yes, we have a pilot. So sometimes you just have to do that. You have to jump off a cliff and go, hey, hope the parachute opens,
I'm told that, well, actually, I used to work at a motion picture studio, and I'm basically told that there's TV requires so much writing. You require so much writing. Is there a shortage of writers in there? Good writers. Is there a shortage of good writers in TV?
There are a shortage of good writers. I couldn't answer that question because I don't know. I could only speak to the people that were around me, and the people that were around me at Mad TV were all fantastic writers. I mean, they were cranking out sketch after sketch after sketch, and not everyone's a winner, but none of them are for everybody. But the percentage was high. So it's hard to say, and I don't know. When I watch a TV show, you see it's written by somebody, but that means they've got their name on the script because they did the main pass on the script. But who knows who also had input? It's usually the showrunner also has and the creator of the show. They're going to make it into what they want it to be. So I don't know if that person's an excellent writer or whatever, but they were at least able to put together a good story, and the team was able to put stuff together. So I don't know. It's a little tough to answer that because I don't know what the shortage is on good writers out there.
So what was it like working for Mad TV?
Oh, working for Mad TV was a blast. I mean, it was scary at first because we had to, for the first several weeks, we had to kind of prove ourselves. And for a while, we weren't getting stuff on the air. But once we started getting stuff on the air, and people started to know our style, and you'd have actors coming to you and saying, "Hey, could you write us a sketch?" And then once you had that ball rolling, it was a blast. You got to write so much stuff and see what would stick, and and there were sometimes frustrations with. We had loftier ideas, but the budget was low, so we couldn't do what we wanted to do. But being in that sort of, having limitations sometimes actually helped us write some interesting sketches too. So sometimes that's a good thing for a writer. Just give yourself some limitations,
The writers, the people of Saturday Night Live, they do really well because they either get into movies or they host the Tonight Show or things like that. Mad TV, I don't hear a whole lot of people advancing into huge positions for Mad TV. Am I missing something?
As writers or actors, or
as writers.
I mean, if you ever watched Key and Peele on Comedy Central, they're a huge sketch comedy show. Those guys were both from Mad TV. Those were guys that I was there while I was there. A writer, Colton Dunn, is one of the writers and producers on that show as well. Michael McDonald, who was an actor on Mad TV and also wrote, but he was mostly a performer. He's doing stand-up. He's a director for TV. So there are a lot of people that have moved on from there. It's just they don't. We always said that Mad TV kind of felt to us like we were, the junior college, while Saturday Night Live was Harvard. They got a lot of credit for stuff, but we were still doing some good work. But we were doing solid work over there. It's just it was on at it started a half hour before Saturday Night Live, and then of course people know Saturday Night Live. That's when they go to. So usually 11:30 people would tune out and then go to Saturday Night Live, but I mean, but there are quite a lot of people, believe it or not, that are out there from Mad TV. Ike Barinholtz, who is on the Mindy Project, and he also writes and directs for that. So people did go on and do some stuff.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Brian Michael Jones. Born in Arkansas, raised there, moved out of California about 2000, went to college at Pepperdine, and joined the company about 5 years later and been with them ever since. Acting at a very young age, 12 years old, doing musicals regionally, and improv, though, happened to me actually at Pepperdine in college. I'd never done it before until I was about 19, 20. And Tracy Burns she was directing the improv group at Pepperdine, and I spent 4 years with her, and then after that, I joined her company, which was the tiny seedling of improv theater at the time. Just took it from there.
So do you like acting more or improv more?
Oh, they're one and the same. Scripted or unscripted, really, it's unscripted. I mean, because not only do you act the moments, you write them as well. You're the writer, editor, director, actor, all in the same moment, and it's incredibly challenging. But when it works, not always, but when it works, because of that, it's just the best reward. It's the best feeling in the world.
I ask people, what do they want to be as an actor? And some say I want to be like an outstanding Shakespearean actor. Other people say, well, they want to make a lot of money because obviously it would be nice to make blockbuster hits and all that. But I don't hear a whole lot of people saying I want to be a great improver.
Oh, that's interesting. I think as an actor, it's one of the scariest things you can do because really all of your mistakes are completely in view of the audience. Did I set out wanting to be a great improviser or be with a wonderful company? No. But it's just I stumbled into it and have never looked back. It's absolutely the funnest, most wonderful thing ever. I do scripted stuff as well, and love it because I have a baby boy now and he needs to eat. There you go. Love it.
I ask people for advice on how to be great actors because for my viewers and all that. A lot of people say you got to take improv. It's almost required nowadays to take improv.
Yeah, and I agree to that to some extent. I think the best lesson when an actor goes out and learns improv is to trust their own instincts. Because that's what we're called to do every day in every audition. We have part of the story there on the page. We know what we're going to say. We need to trust our own gut this is my direction. I want to take this character. This is what I want to do with these words. This is how I want to bring it to life. And I think the best injection of confidence that an actor can have, because they go throughout the city and they get told no all the time, again and again and again, and that can wear you down over time. But if you can get in front of people, even in a small little comedy place in LA, and say, this is completely from me, and I'm owning it, moment to moment, second by second, and get that direct feedback from the audience, it's a fantastic boost. When you do something scary and you survive, you feel really good afterwards. And improv for an actor, I believe, is that very thing.
So, do you have a musical background?
Oh yeah, started doing musicals as a kid, and all through college, and always sang through church and all these things, and always kept that musical flair. So when Sondheim Unscripted came, brought by the directors of Improv Theater, hey, we're going to do musicals now, I was so very happy. But learning Sondheim's style is completely different than most musicals I had ever done. It's not so happy and wonderful, and these songs don't have necessarily a verse, chorus, refrain, verse. He writes these wonderful songs in complete harmony with what the actor and the character's journey is going. It's almost like a sung monologue a lot of the time, and his repetition shows up in musical phrases, maybe one line repeated, coming back to that. And his lyrics are just brilliant with the internal rhyming and just the poetry of all the sounds I just love. So doing this particular show has educated me on Sondheim beyond what I ever thought I would know.
I loved everyone's musicality. I thought you guys were great musicians. I really enjoyed the music.
Yeah, our musician Peter Smith is fantastic. Not only does he know Sondheim's style and changes, he makes us look so good. If I sing a melody like "Oh, there you are," he will go bum 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 without even having to search for the note. He knows exactly where the note is. He hears it. Bam, and he plays it, and he just makes us look like it was all scripted, like it was all meant to be there. And he'll push us too. If we're singing a song and it's kind of mellow for a while, and he is kind of bored, he'll punch us in a more energetic direction through his music, or vice versa.
Yeah. Well, again, obviously there's no director here, so I assume he was almost like the director.
Yeah, that's right. We have a director for the show to lead us through rehearsals and whatnot. But on the night, he has one of the best outside eyes of what needs to happen. When a song needs to show up, when a song does not. If we as the actor are out there and we're doing our scene and we think that we're giving it all, and he's not quite on board with our emotional depth, because we have to earn it. When we jump into a song, we have to, as our character comes to a point in their life where they can't speak it, this is so deep, so emotional, we have to sing it, and he's got the best eye for that. And a lot of times we're surprised when the music comes in. We say, oh, okay, I guess I'm singing.
So is there any kind of advice you can give to my audience? My audience are like, a lot of people who listen to my show are community theater actors. A lot of them are students. And again, they're trying to make their way through Hollywood and all that, but community theater, you don't get paid for anything. A lot of hard work there for nothing. Yeah. Any kind of advice you can help them get along?
Well, keep the love, number one. That's why they're doing it, with the lack of funds, but they do it for the fun. And there's a lot of joy in the work, and in a way, it's its own reward. But an acting coach told me this once: your job as an actor in LA is to stay positive and not become jaded. Don't take on all of those no's and rejections and carry them with you as you walk through life. Your job is to get that no and cash it in for a yes. Every 50 no's you get told, you get to cash in for yes. Like the one job you book, one out of every 50 commercial auditions, so to speak. It's like any art form, any other art form. You are your worst critic. You are your worst critic. And then realize, I would say to students, know that it's not your job to judge what you do. It's your job to keep pushing forward and getting better and getting better. Let the audience be the audience and you the creator.
Thank you very much for being on the show. That was great advice.
Thank you very much, and best of luck to everybody and everyone listening to your stuff. Great.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashton Marcus with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Corey Rouse. I work for Walt Disney Imagineering. I've been in the entertainment arts, I guess, now for about 20 years. This is the second time I've done Sondheim Unscripted with the Improv Theater.
So basically, how did you get into improv, or how did you get into acting?
I got into acting, fell into it as a kid in Pensacola, and then fell into improv because I was friends with a bunch of these guys who did it, and they just taught me how to jump on stage and just go.
So what do you think about improv?
Scary, but thrilling. It's awesome.
Okay. So is this something you like doing, or would you rather just stick with the acting?
I'll always improvise. Absolutely love it. I've learned so much about life and everything else just by jumping into things and just doing them.
I ask most actors, what do they dream of being? A lot of them will say, I want to be a great Shakespearean actor. Or some say, I want to make a lot of money, be successful in blockbusters. I don't hear a lot of people saying, I want to be in improv.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair thing. Are you asking improvisers that? Because usually we don't get paid a lot, so we're doing it for the love of it. So, it's something that you gotta love to do because you're out there on the line every single time, and you actually form super tight bonds with the people you're performing with, and you can't find that really anywhere else. It's pretty great.
I also ask actors who are really experienced in the business for advice, and a lot of them say you got to do improv nowadays. You just have to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I hear. And actually, that's where what we know as improv now actually started as an acting exercise anyway. That they just, with Keith Johnstone and those guys that just brought it out into the world and said, hey, that's a fun show, and it's meant to be the foundation exercises for acting. So the fact that we get to do it and try to be funny at it is pretty great.
Do you have a musical background?
I do. That's actually, I started with musical theater as a thing, and from that found improv from musical theater. And it's so something like this just merges two of my passions together. It's pretty great.
I was very impressed by everyone's musical skills. They were all outstanding musicians.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's a style that we've all kind of deeply rooted ourselves in for the past month. And Dan and Michelle, the directors, have really guided us well to understand kind of like our own instruments and how to put it into the Sondheim form.
So is there any kind of advice you can give to music students on how to become better musicians?
Keep playing. Just keep doing it. Practice is one thing, but put yourself out in front of people and make the world a better place through your music.
And how about to be a better improver?
Same thing. Just get out and do it. That's the only thing you can do.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
What's your name?
My name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Kelly Holden Bashar. I have been with Impro Theater for a long time as a guest artist, and I recently became a member of the company. I also have done some television, mostly comedy, but I was seen in the first season of Fargo, the TV series. I was Martin Freeman's wife, where I got hit in the head with a hammer. What else do you want to know?
Yeah, how did you get into improv?
Started at University of Virginia. I worked with a buddy of mine called Rick Hammerly, and he and I learned improv together and kind of sort of discovered it together. And then I went to a place called Comedy Warehouse in Florida, and I did 5 shows a night, 7 nights a week. And that was sort of like grad school of improv. You had to learn how to do everything. You had to learn how to sing, how to set things up, how to do short form, long form. So I really feel like that was sort of my ground zero for learning improv. And then when I went to Chicago, I studied at Second City a little bit. And I came out here and joined Impro, and I also work with Comedy Sports.
So do you prefer improv or do you prefer acting?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Both. I can't say that one over the other. I think I bring sort of an improv quality to my acting. I love improv. It's definitely my passion, but it really informs my acting, definitely. And I love them both.
Yeah. I'm told acting is actually a lot more boring. It's like, you got to do them in 10 minutes, 10-minute spots. It's like they don't do it in sequence, so you can't build some kind of arc or anything like that. So it's actually quite boring acting.
Yeah. Well, it depends. Like if you're talking about theater acting, then you get to play the whole arc of a character and you get to tell the whole story. But yes, television is a totally different medium. It's an editor's medium, a director's medium, and you're servicing the story, but you're not necessarily driving it. And I think in theater, you have a lot more power to do that. Obviously, in improv, you have complete power to do that, to drive the story and to see where it goes and to be a part of the whole creation. So in improv, I can play anything, be anything. I can be a man, I can be a woman, I can be 12, I can be 80. And that's refreshing because obviously in TV, I'm not going to do that. And then in stage, there's a little more room for that, but you're still going to basically play who you are. And in improv, you can be anything.
I've asked actors basically for advice, on how to become better actors and all, for my viewers and all that. And a lot of them say, well, you got to take improv. It's almost required nowadays to take improv.
Yeah, a lot of auditions that I go to, they ask you to do it, even though they're technically not supposed to. They want to see what you are going to uniquely bring. And I think a lot of times, some people really want you to stay on the script, but a lot of times you're encouraged to go off of it and bring your own thing in. And I think there's just a freedom that comes with improv, a freeing up of your brain and of your body that helps you to really sort of dig deep into who a character is in a way that when you're just totally committed to the words on the page, you can only bring so much of yourself, but when you're given the freedom to sort of add to that, it brings a whole other level, I think.
So if there's any kind of advice you can give, because again, a lot of my viewers are community theater actors, or they're basically students. So what kind of advice you can give them to help them get along?
Find the right teacher. I think finding the right teacher is fantastic. I also think finding your people is so huge. I just happened to luck out, and I worked with some of the best people, I think, in the business back when I was in Florida and now here in LA. I found my tribe, so to speak. And I think when you find that group that feels like family, that you have a shorthand with, you feel free to soar. And the right teacher can also do that for you too. When you find the right teacher that really encourages you, and it's not all about, oh, suppress that, or I need to see more of this or more of that from you, but somebody who can really bring out you, that's huge, because that's the one thing you have to hold on to in this town, is who you uniquely are. And I think improv really helps do that.
Do you have a musical background?
Actually, no. For the longest time, I thought I cannot sing, and I still don't know that I would ever have the bravery to audition for a musical, but I learned how to sell a song. When I was at Comedy Warehouse, I had great directors and great musical accompanists who really encouraged me to just pretend you're an opera singer, pretend you're a rock star, or pretend you're whatever. And when I got into the mindset of, I'm now playing this character singing the song, I found I could do it. But when I was just me singing, I got all like, oh, I can't, So I found a freedom in improv to sing that I never had before just as a straight actor. So I think it really frees you up when you just put yourself in the mindset of, I can be any kind of singer, any kind of person right now.
Actually, I thought you were a very good singer.
Oh, thank you.
I was impressed by everyone singing, and I thought you had musical background just like everyone else.
Yeah. Well, it's believing it, it's believing it. And I think with Sondheim, what's beautiful about Sondheim is it's about connecting to the emotions that are coming through. And that's what we're really trying to do. It's not about, oh, listen to how beautiful my voice is here, or I'm gonna jump an octave, or I'm gonna really belt this out. It's, what am I feeling, and can I communicate that in this song? And I think that's where the improv and the acting all come together, and you go, I know what this song is about, so I can really sing it in a way that's got passion behind it and purpose behind it, and I'm not just trying to sound pretty.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashton Marcus with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with...
My name is Lisa Fredrickson. I am an improviser with Impro Theater. I teach classes with Impro Theater, and I also, I'm an actress. I do commercials and things in Los Angeles area, and I love doing improvised plays.
So how'd you get into acting anyway?
Gosh, that's a big question. I think I just took a class, an acting class in college, and I realized that I really loved it, and it reminded me of being a kid. And so then when I discovered improv, it was even more like the way I played as a kid. And so now every night I get to do this job, basically playing like a kid on stage.
What do you like more, improv or acting?
Definitely improv, because it's so playful, and because I get to make it all up, and it goes any direction. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, when I ask actors, what's your dream job? What do you want to be? Some say, like, I want to be a great Shakespearean actor. Others want to say that I want to make a lot of money. I want to be a blockbuster. I don't hear a whole lot of people saying I want to be a great improver.
I think people don't know about improv, and they once you've been an improviser and you let go of worrying about what it looks like and just find the fun, you realize that it's like the be-all, end-all, and it's impossible. Like, obviously, what we're trying to do is create a Stephen Sondheim show, or when we're trying to create a Shakespeare show, or whatever the show is. It's impossible to do that, obviously, but the attempt at the impossible is delightful, and it brings the audience like an excitement like nothing else.
Do you have a musical background?
Well, I like to sing, but, excuse me, I wouldn't say I have a musical background, but I do love to sing. And I learned how to sing from being an improviser, because you can sing, excuse me, anywhere that you want, like high or low, or you can make it work. Right.
Okay, so is there any kind of advice you can give for students who actually want to get into improv or want to get into acting?
Let's see. If you want to get into improv, take an improv class, be in an improv group, and you'll open up like a part of you that you forgot about, because it really is like playing as a kid. And that's what I love about improv. It keeps me young. I'm a 53-year-old woman who feels like she's 28, because every night I just get to make up stuff and play with my friends, and it's awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashton Marcus with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with...
I'm Floyd Van Buskirk.
I'm an actor. I've been an actor for a lot of years, and I'm a member of Improv Theater here in Los Angeles. I've been improvising for probably over 30 years.
So you've been improvising through life?
Pretty much, yeah. From the jump. As soon as I got into acting, like in my around my mid-20s, I discovered improv while I was studying acting, when I got just sort of distracted by theater. And then the distraction became an obsession, and which became then a lifestyle and a career. And I enjoyed the improv section of the acting work, and then just got more and more into the improv, and more into the improv, and then started up with playing theater sports in Seattle, and then that was many years ago, and I've been improvising ever since. And I've been with this company for a long time, since '94.
Yeah, so why did you decide to do that? Because a lot of people, if you ask them if they're an actor, what do you want to do? They say, oh, I want to be a great Shakespearean actor, or I want to make a lot of money on TV. I don't see a whole lot of people say, I want to be an improv guy.
I want to have fun. I really kind of just wanted to play. I always as a kid, I wanted to grow up to not grow up. I would, like, Peter Pan was who I figured, oh, that's it. You don't ever have to grow up. All you have to do is play. You get to play. And with this, it's beautiful, because, I'm a full-grown adult male. I've been like that for a long time, and I still get together with a bunch of my friends and play and make up stories and be good guys and bad guys and fall in love and get killed and all this kind of stuff. And every night it's totally different. It's always fun, and these are all people that I love being around, and we all love telling stories and making up plays and playing together. And I think it keeps me sane, because acting it's really competitive, and it can be very discouraging. But if you've got like an improv company like I've had for most of my acting career, there's always a place of support where you have an active part in the participation of creation. It's all about collaborating and sharing and being together and community. And that's a thing that I feel really lucky having, especially coming to a big city like Los Angeles, where it's really easy to get tossed aside. Even those times when I'm really frustrated with the business, which is often, I always have this, so that I have a creative outlet that I truly enjoy, and I'm working with people that I love, and we get to be up in front of an audience, and so that
that feeds the urge of the actor. What got me to acting in the first place? Most of us got involved in acting because it wasn't because we wanted to be movie stars. It's because we liked being in the theater and being on stage. And this, we did improv in nightclubs and comedy clubs and dingy basements and stuff like that. And now we're in this beautiful theater improvising a full-length Sondheim musical. It's just, I don't know how it gets any better than this. This is just the greatest thing. It's so much fun to do, and I get to keep doing it. I'm in my 60s now, and I'm still doing what I love to do with people that I love to do it with, and it's the best. It's fun. It's because it's fun.
I've asked a lot of actors, basically, for advice and all that, for my viewers and all that, and a lot of them say you really have to do improv. It's almost required nowadays.
Yeah, it is. It's odd. When I first started, if they found out you were an improviser, they kind of like looked at you with a sideways glance. It's like, oh no, what's he going to do? Does he know how to read a script? They expected you to be like, Robin Williams and be bouncing off the walls and going crazy. And it's like, no, I know how to read. I know how to do a script. I think that what you need to do is, as an actor, you need to do everything. I think some people have a knack for improv, others do not, but I think even a little bit of improv and understanding how to help you to get in the moment. Like we often say, like what we try to do with improv is try to make it look like it's scripted. We try to make our improvisation look like it's scripted, and what you try to do with a scripted piece is look like it's happening for the first time. You're trying to make it look spontaneous. So we're all going from the same place, which is trying to be present in the moment and make the moment real. And improv, you have to be present in the moment or you get totally lost. It really is a matter of, Brian Lumen says it's like you just jump off a cliff and then figure out how to build an airplane on the way down. And you realize that the worst thing that can happen to you is you fail, and maybe you look foolish. Fortunately, a lot of people that I know don't have a problem with looking foolish. It doesn't really bother, as long as you do it, as long as you fail with a sense of fun and you're good-natured about it and you enjoy yourself and you don't take yourself too seriously and allow yourself to, quote, fail, unquote. We look at failures as gifts, as opportunities to take a story in a direction that we don't expect it to go in. And I think being in the moment and learning how to be in the moment, whether you're in an improv or whether you're in a scripted piece, you can still take that immediacy and that presence that you have to have into your scripted work as well. So I think improv can't hurt you, and it can only help you and make your work more fun and help you to be more present.
Suppose this is an actor, again, like you said, improv, not everyone can do it. Suppose this is a very gifted actor, very gifted, but they just can't do improv. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, some just some just can't do it. Some they just say, hey, it's not my thing. It's like I can't. I can't read. I can read music, sheet music. I can do it. I understand the concept, but man, I can't sit down and sight read. I can't do that. I suppose if I work hard enough at it, I could, but I don't think I would ever. That would never be anything that comes naturally to me. Some people can learn it, and some people will try, and they just maybe they won't get it. They just don't have that muscle. They could still be a brilliant actor. But maybe they just don't have the confidence or I don't know what it is. It's like to me, I feel more fear with a script of messing it up, because these are words that a writer wrote, and I have to get them right. And I'm obliged to the writer, I'm obliged to my director, I'm obliged to my other actors to deliver them their cues in a way that makes sense for them. I can't change things up too much, but I still have to have it immediate and be in the moment. For me, I feel a lot freer and and less afraid when the pressure's off and it's like, I don't have a script. I'm not obliged to anyone other than the person that I'm working with on stage and the audience. That's my only obligation. So all I have to do is take care of the person that I'm on stage with and know that they're going to do their job and they're going to take care of me. And if we're both doing our jobs, we'll all be okay and the audience will be entertained, even if it goes off the rails, because we're having fun. And the audience likes to watch you have a good time. The audience likes to watch you enjoy yourself, I think.
Do you have a musical background?
Yeah. I was actually studying music theater, and I was in concert choir and chamber choir and a vocal jazz ensemble, and studying music theory. And I kind of got the school that I was in, the theater department and the music department shared the same building in a great big beautiful theater. And someone asked me if I wanted to come in and read for one of the plays because they had to recast it. And I went, yeah, sure, why not? And I went in and read, and I got cast in this role, and that was it. I was like totally hooked. But I started out as a music major, and then it was like, so this way, doing the Sondheim is great because it's like I've got all of this. I'm improvising music. I'm creating a story with friends. I'm getting to sometimes have some really nice, deep acting moments, as well as really hilarious, funny stuff. So it's just the best of both worlds.
I was very impressed by everyone's musical ability. You're all gifted musicians.
Yeah, it's a really strong group and a very courageous group. The musical director that we have, Peter Smith, is an amazing musician. I mean, he is like a top drawer jazz pianist, but also has an amazing knowledge of musical theater and Sondheim in particular. And we also work with a couple of other guys, Matthew Cohen and Jonathan Green, who are excellent music improvisers and also have a great, deep musical background. So often in improv groups, you're just looking for somebody to do music for you. And we have like 3 guys that are all like top shelf that all want to work with us. So that's pretty amazing. That's pretty astounding. And it could, because it's a very rarefied and particular thing that they're doing. It's not easy. Not every musician can do that or would think about doing that. And these guys are the best. Peter is just amazing. He's just amazing to work with.
Yeah, a lot of music students, a lot of community theater actors listen to my show. So is there any kind of advice you can give them on composing?
On composing?
Yeah, because you guys were composing pretty well.
Yeah, well, I think what we do and our whole process, it's always collaborative. So everything that's happening with us is working off of each other. So I know that when we've had people that have studied improv that have gone on to become writers. So I think that just for composition and for us and like what we're doing here is like if we take on a style, we study that style in depth. If we're doing Chekhov, we read all of Chekhov's plays, and then we read his short stories. We read letters that he wrote. We study the time that he was in. So I think that brings a depth to our work, which makes it easier to sort of envelop or be enveloped by that world. I think as a composer, the broader your study and the variety of the things that you draw inspiration from and are influenced by can only inform your work. So, listen to great composers, listen to great music, let yourself improvise, let yourself go and just we say yes and yourself. There's one of the great rule ones is always accept offers. Accept your offers, accept your mistakes. I went to see Vince Guaraldi play jazz once before he passed away, about 2 years before he passed away. This little place called Scotty Campbell's. And he was playing on this piano, and for some reason there was like one note, I think it was like, I don't know, somewhere above middle C, that was just this clunk. It was just like one note that was sour. And he'd be playing along, and then he'd hit that note, and you could see him wince. And then at one point he hit it, and he just kind of laughed out loud, and he just hit it again and hit it again and hit it again, and built a solo around that, and using that clam, that sour note, and built this whole little riff around it. And it was inspired because it came from what was seemingly an obstacle or a mistake, a blessing that we call it, or a gift. And that sent him in a direction that he would not have gone in had he not embraced that trip, that fall, like I say, that quote, mistake, unquote. And he just sort of like leaned into that and said, well, I'm going to build off of that and see where that takes me. So I think that's a thing that I always remember when we talk about building from what seems to be a mistake and turning that into just another offer.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Oh, hey, it's a pleasure. Thanks for asking me.
Sondheim Unscripted will be playing at the Falcon Theater from August 19th to September 27th. For more information, go to www.falcontheater.com or search for A&B Theater, that's all one word, A&B Theater on Facebook.